One of the fascinating things about our brain is that we we really can't distinguish between reality and fiction. I mean, on an intellectual level, we can say, "Oh, I'm just watching a movie. This isn't real life." But a part of our brain, when we see something happen on a movie, it becomes a narrative for us. This is what we think, and we believe it to be true because it's very difficult to separate the two. Again, intellectually we can, but there's always that nagging thing in our brain is thinking, though, no, this is real. This is real. That's why, for example, horror movies work, right? When you're watching a horror movie, intellectually, you know you're just watching a movie. It's not real, but you actually respond sometimes. If it's scary, you may jump or your heart will race. Well, why is that? Because your brain is kind of tricked. It's like, oh, this is real. This is real. I'm seeing it. And that's how we evolved. And that's fine. But the problem is that can be used for propaganda because in propaganda, what a government will do or a group will do, they'll show you something that's not really true. It's not really representative of the reality. But when you watch it enough, you think this is the case. I see this all the time historically, let's say with the South. Oh, a bunch of inbred rednecks that are terrorizing poor black children. It's nothing like that. But people see that on their TV screens, or their movies. They watch Deliverance and they think that's how it really is. So it starts to become part of their belief, even though they've never been to the South, they've never seen it, because they watch it. It even then they know that the movie is a fiction, they start to believe this as being true. This is the power of the narrative, and this is how evil it is. What happens? And we have an example in Britain right now. The Prime Minister Starmer, this guy's a piece of shit, but he said, "Oh, there's this Netflix series or special or movie or something like this called Adolescence, and it's about this kid that stabs to death some of his classmates, his female classmates, because of toxic masculinity. We got to show this in the schools to teach these boys how evil they are." Well, okay, so you watch the show and you see this kid who in the show is a white kid, I guess being real evil and misogynist and stabbing to death a girl. And our brains, we start to believe this, like, oh, how horrible! Something needs to be done. But it's all fake. That it's not based on a true story. It is based on a true story that happened in Britain. This girl that was 15 was stabbed to death by a 17-year-old in school. There was a conflict over a teddy bear or something. But the guy that did the stabbing was African. He wasn't white. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Of course, Netflix said, oh, well, it's not based on any true story. It's just all fictionalized. Well, but if you look at all the data in Britain, most of the knife stabbings disproportionately are from ethnic minorities. So why did they choose a white kid? Oh, we don't want to perpetuate stereotypes. But wait a minute, that's the truth. So you're doing a stereotype against white kids now. And this is how it's insidious, because people see this and they start to believe this is reality versus the real world, where it's a totally different. So this is a way to demonize white boys in Britain who statistically don't do this sort of thing. They don't stab their classmates or anything like this. Until they got diversity, it was a fairly peaceful place. But Netflix and a lot of others, they do this type of propaganda to demoralize people. And this is the question is, how effective is this? Or do people believe what they see on their TV or watching Netflix or watching the movies, or what they see in real life? And that's always a tension. And I think some people prefer to believe what they see on TV, even though real life they see something totally different. They want to believe what they see on TV. That is trying to be their reality. And it's crazy how that is. But this is an example of the propaganda. Now, the white pill is, I don't know if it's as effective anymore because of social media. People can point this out and people are like, well, wait a minute, this is propaganda being used against us. What are you doing, Starmer? Why are you using this, showing like white boys is a problem? They're stabbing people. That's not the case at all. That's not statistically the case at all. It's these people that you were importing that are committing these crimes. In fact, the closest case that this Netflix was based on, even though it said, oh, was it based on any one story? But it clearly was. It was a guy from Africa that did it. But they chose to cast a white boy. Yeah, right. What's the reason for that? And the sad thing is, I think some people that are more weak-minded are will believe anything they see on their TV or what the government propaganda tells them, even if they look out their window and see something totally different. It's it just amazes me how that is. I guess I could understand it. People live in a bubble and they're not around that environment, so that they're not. Let's say if they live up in Maine or something, America. Oh, wow, I don't know really what's going on in Britain. Look at all these evil British people, these white boys just stabbing the girls. That must be a crisis. And they don't really see the reality of the situation because they're not there. But does this propaganda work on the British that see this every day? Sadly, some cases it will. And that's pretty sad. I don't have much faith in the human condition, but I think enough people can start to see through this propaganda, and social media can do some pushback and try to educate people. No, this is propaganda being waged against you, trying to trick you into believing something that's not true. Talk to you guys later.